Hey guys, welcome back to Poised in Progress. I'm your host, Aria. On this podcast, we talk about everything about self-development and also how to grow your business. So if that interests you, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you are listening on any of your podcast platforms, that you go ahead and follow the channel. And let's go ahead and hop into today's topic, because I'm very excited and very passionate about this one, because this is really what helped me become myself. If you already looked at today's title, then we are actually going to be breaking down exactly how to train your brain to be consistent. Because when I talk to people and they ask me, how are you so consistent? I struggle with that so bad. So many times they are looking at so many videos on how to be structured, but actually have not address the underlying issue of how to actually get their brain to be, this is comfortable for me to do, which is the new habit. So today we are going to be talking about that. So let's go ahead and hop right into my first tip. So my first tip when it comes to becoming consistent is to connect it to an emotion. So I have been studying neuroscience at the beginning of 2026, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you really want to deep dive on how to get your brain to do the hard things, get into neuroscience, get into understanding neuroplasticity, because when I tell you, learning and reading about that for even just the past couple months have literally transformed how I do things now. It's so crazy to me. But what I mean by connecting it to an emotion. So a lot of times when we do a bad habit or a good habit that we do, usually there is a meaning behind why we are consistent with it. So I'll do a basic example first. When we are talking about hygiene, so when you wake up in the morning, typically what you do is you get up, you brush your teeth, wash your face, or you shower if you're a morning shower. So you do that in the morning. That's basic things that you never forget. I know for me, I've never forgot to brush my teeth in the morning. Put on deodorant, put on perfume, and everything like that. So what is the emotional connection as to why you do that every single morning? It's probably because you don't want that feeling of being the stinky person or people talking about you. You don't want to be bullied for it. Or when you were in 6th grade and we were all trying to learn hygiene or didn't know about hygiene just yet, we were walking around funky or whatever it is, and we were bullied for it. So now we are consistently always making sure our teeth are brushed, there's chapstick, there's deodorant, we shower. Like, the emotional part is the embarrassment, right? So we don't want to feel embarrassed, and that is why even years later, we don't forget to brush our teeth in the morning. So when you are trying to be consistent in either going to the gym or being consistent more into your business of doing the harder part of their business that's not really what you want to do, which for me in particular is doing finances. I hate doing finances, but I had to go ahead and connect that with an emotion for me to actually pay attention to that specific habit that I wanted to incorporate to help myself be better. So then let's go to another tier that's a little bit harder, because brushing our teeth, that's in our home, it's easy to do. It only takes 2 minutes out of our morning, right? But getting up and going to the gym is a different story. So when trying to lose weight or trying to gain muscle or whatever the case may be for your fitness goals, you have to connect it to an emotion. And so typically majority of us connect it with, we don't like our body, right? But that doesn't always help us get into the gym, because at the end of the day, you don't like your body, but you're like, I do like those extra couple minutes of sleep before going into work. So how do we connect our emotions to things that are harder for us to do? And what I have found that helps connect it is I make it positive for my brain. So a lot of times when we're trying to connect things, we tell ourselves, oh, we're lazy, or we're too fat, or that and a third, and this is why we can't do something. So I try to connect a positive so that I can have a positive emotion. So I'm actually encouraging myself to go instead of just beating myself down to go. Because I've noticed whenever I first started gaining weight and I was like, oh my gosh, I really want to get this off, I was just being so negative to myself, where it wasn't helping me get in the gym. If anything, it was helping me go to Cane's and get me that box combo. You know what I'm saying? So I had to connect it to a positive. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm so big, I need to get in the gym, I was like, I want to feel healthy, and I know if I go work out, I'm going to feel healthy. And so again, how do you do that part? Just how I said in multiple of my episodes, if you're not new here, journaling, I'm telling you, you have to put it on paper. If you put on paper the positives of why you need to work out and the positives of how you're gonna feel and stuff like that, it literally trains your brain to know that this is a good thing, that this is something that is not gonna harm us, it's not scary, it's something that we want to do and that we want to have in our life and make it a norm in our life. So something that I read when it came to neuroplasticity is that we actually have to program our brain. Our brain is not going to just want to do anything. Our brain is like a machine, so it's not like we just listen to our brain. I will say that's a little confusing because our brain is where we tell it to do stuff. So how are we going to tell it to do stuff? So it's a constant fight between each other. It's how to fight that is to continue fighting it. And so you have to keep showing your brain that this is something you want to do and this is something that needs to be a norm in your life. So now associating that more with business. So if you are scared of starting your business and you want to be consistent with, maybe your downfall that you don't really want to be consistent in is posting a video, you have to start telling yourself and writing down to yourself, I want to do this so I can grow. I cannot grow without this, but I want to do this because this is my thing. This is what I want, how I want to come out to the world because I want my business to grow. You have to make the good outweigh the bad, because at the end of the day, when we're starting a new habit that we want to do, in our brain, this is not normal, this is not comfortable, so we don't want to do it. So it's technically the bad. So we need to make it good. So we have to keep pouring our brains with the good. So how I do that specifically, so my podcast, right? I mentioned in my last episode, it's taken me a while to get back into it. And when you stop and start things, it's really hard to continue on because you tell yourself, dang, I could have been this far by now, that and the third. And so what I do to help be positive, or to even encourage positive to my brain to continue having me be confident with my podcast and being consistent with doing my podcast, is I listen to podcasts. I listen to people who actually inspire me. So before, when I was getting ready, if you do follow us on our Instagram, I did a get ready with me for this specific episode, right? And as I was getting ready, I didn't listen to music, I listened to podcasts. And those podcasts actually helped me feel more confident about filming this episode. And so I'm teaching my brain, this is a good positive thing. It gets me excited, and I'm like, I'm here, and I'm like, it's time to turn this camera on. It's time to turn this mic on and get going. That's kind of what I was getting from that, because instead of filling my brain with something that either is not related or something that would actually deter me from thinking that this was a good thing, I literally turned to things that were going to actually encourage me into those things. So that is step number one on how to become more consistent. Now, the second thing that I tell myself that has helped me become more consistent, and that will help you guys become more consistent, is to make it simple. Too many times I see other people, and also myself, we make trying to be consistent so cold turkey. And if going cold turkey does not work for you, this is what you need to do, is to make it as simple as possible. So let's go back to the gym, because I feel like the gym connects with a lot of people, because I feel like almost everybody wants their body to look a certain way, whatever. So when I say make it simple, is I'm not going to go on TikTok and watch a video of somebody who's in the gym 24/7, right, and do their extreme workout, right, where they're in the gym for 2 hours. I'm not doing that. I'm going to look up an easy leg day workout, because if it's simple and our brains are more like, we need to go ahead and do this because it's not that scary. This is something we've done before, or even we didn't do before. It doesn't look that bad. It's not as scary to do. We tell our brains that, and then guess what? It's easier for us to get it started and to do it more because it's easier. So when I took about a year off of fitness, and if you are new to the podcast, I was a prior college athlete, played for all my life or whatever, took a break off. As soon as I got out of college, I worked out a lot, and then I just got burnt out. And so I took off a year and then got on medication, made me gain a lot of weight, and now I'm trying to get that stuff off, whatever. So when I went back into the gym, I went in with the mindset that I was still an athlete. A bad thing to do, because what that did is make me expect to perform how I did at 20 and 19 and 21, and it's like 23 when I went right back in, and I'm 25 now. But I was just expecting myself to do that. Did not make me consistent. I will do 1 week of my old workouts from whenever I was at my prime fitness and stuff like that, and then I would literally not do anything for the rest of the month. And the reason being was because I was competing at a level that was stressful. I was no longer there, and that's not a bad thing that I was no longer there. But I need to build myself up there. I think when consistency, we think that it needs to be so immediate and that we need to just be at our top peak whenever we start. But consistency is actually just starting where you are and just continuing to build. That's actually what being consistent is. You have to build it. So whenever I got back into the gym and I was playing that game for quite a while, and I finally was like, oh my gosh, I just stopped for a second and I was starting to get back into it, whatever. Instead of going into that mindset that I need to compete at this level, or even to compete, because at the end of the day, at this point, I'm just going to the gym to be healthy. I'm not going to the gym to get ready for season. And I don't understand why that could not leave my brain, but it wasn't leaving my brain. So instead of going in with that mindset, I started off with the bare bone workouts, literally stuff that was 30 minutes, literally 30 minutes into the workout. I was not taking so much time to do stuff, right? And so then once I did that, I was like, well, now this is getting a little easier. And then we go ahead and add on a run. Then we go ahead and add on that little solid core class. Then we go ahead and add on pickleball. So now it's like I am a person who works out. I work out at least 3 to 4 times a week now, or even more. And I don't even think about it that much because I have built it up again. And so now my brain is actually okay with me adding on the stuff or getting to be more intense from that intensity that I used to experience, because I have actually now built the foundation. And not only does my brain think it's okay, but my body can actually sustain the amount of stuff that I'm doing now. So then if we transition that into business and stuff like that, so if you are struggling with posting consistently or doing that part of the business that you either feel insecure about, you don't feel as confident in, start at the bare bones of it. Even if you want more information, start at the bare bones. So for instance, I own an esthetician business, and something that I go through, especially with me being in school at the same time, it's really intense at school, so I just really cannot fully focus on the marketing of my business or whatever. And so sometimes when I get back into it, I get really nervous. But something that has helped me get out of that to just start posting again is I'm like, Arya, do your simple edits that you've done in the beginning, that you actually know how to do, that's super simple, and then you build up to your more creative videos, right? And coming in with that mindset, especially whenever I know to start with the simple things to do it again. And what's crazy is that it actually is consistent. I actually am consistent. I just went to an event on Sunday, and one of my old schoolmates, she came up, she was like, your videos are everywhere. I see them all the time. Because I still, even though maybe I wanted to be at this bigger spot or do the more intricate videos, my stuff is still getting pushed out. It's still being consistent. So when you are debating and questioning yourself, don't do that. Just start with the bare bones of whatever you're trying to do and then build from there. And that's how you actually build more consistency. So coupling with that for my third tip, and that is to plan out your stuff, right? Plan it out. But if you are my people who are perfectionists and stuff like that, I'm going to tell you right now, please don't discount step number 2, because step number 2 is also going to pair up with step number 3, which is to plan it out. And planning, I think so much whenever people say they want to plan out things, they want to have an executive meeting. They want to have 15 people at the table. They want to do this, they want that, and then they want to do all that stuff and make it look so cute and so perfect and so aesthetic. Guys, no. Consistency needs to be broken down to something simple. I want to say consistency and simple are two of the same things, right? It looks like more when you build it up, but you have to start simple. So whenever you are planning out your content, your workout plan, your food plan, your plan for your business motto and everything like that, start bare bones, right? Make only a couple to-do lists, right? So for instance, I'll go into how I planned out this week, right? This took me literally 30 minutes to do. So first thing I did is I went through all my finances. When you go through all your finances and you're planning that out for your business or whatever, just put in how much money you got in that month, that week. I do it bi-weekly, but so I do it how much money I got that week, how much money I spent on the business, how much spent on what did I spend the most on that week, and then also what do I need to spend for the next week. Boom, done. That took about 10 minutes of me going through my apps and counting the cash I got, whatever. Then the next thing I did was for my week, obviously I do not want to plan out my week hour by hour by hour, because guess what? I mean, I'm a woman. I started my cycle literally an hour after I planned this stuff out. You never know what's going to pop up. So just do exactly what you know 100% you have to do. If you have to work on this day, do you have a client this day, or you actually do want to at least plan out a business meeting of that week or something like that, that's what I would put down. But I wouldn't be like, at 6 a.m. I'm going to do this, 7 a.m. I'm going to do that, 8 a.m. You're not there yet, because if you're listening to this episode, you're probably not at the point where you feel very confident in your consistency. So you're not there yet. So just be like, Monday, this is what I plan on doing on Monday. So for instance, on Monday, I have planned on scheduling out all my videos that I wanted to go out this week. Super simple. I wasn't writing out the script. I don't script any of my videos, but I was just like, this is the role that I want to do, or the videos that I want to get out for this week, right? And then Tuesday, it was to film this video. Stuff like that. Little things that I need a check mark on, but just don't go too in-depth about it. I think going too in-depth too early causes your brain to be more overwhelmed. And what we're trying to do is train our brains to know that this is safe, that this is comfortable. So that's why I say bare bones with everything. So you plan out your week and make it on a consistent day, right? But make it to where maybe you only set a timer for 20 minutes to do this, 30 minutes to this. Setting timers actually really do help yourself be consistent in things, because we like to overwhelm, especially as women, we overwhelm our heads with so many things and thinking that we have so much stuff that's going to overcrowd it, and that's just simply not the case, right? It's not the case. Things are going to happen throughout the week. Things are going to happen day to day or whatever, but at least if you have a plan, you either will do it before that thing hit, or you could do the thing after, but you're just going to get it done, right? The part of it is we just want to get it done, because consistency is getting it done, right? So making sure to plan out all of your things ahead of time will help you so much on being consistent, because it also trains our brain to know we have something to do. If we just go, okay, I'm just gonna think about what I'm gonna do the next day, our brains are not gonna remember it, because guess what? It has all these other fires it's trying to put out. So you have to tell it what fire to put out, and the fire to put out is you being consistent this week. And then my fourth and final tip for being consistent is to have somebody who is going to keep you accountable. All right, so I have a best friend named Sydney, and love her to death. That girl is going to ask me about whatever I had told her that week, right? She remembers everything, right? I'm a person who remembers everything, but she's going to remember it and ask you about it, right? And so I really appreciate her for that, because I know whenever I want to do something and I want to start something, I know to tell her that, because at some point she's going to ask me to do it. She's going to ask me how that's going, and I don't want to come up empty-handed. And so having that accountability partner who is going to ask you those questions, or who is going to do it with you if it's working out, or if it's starting a new hobby or something like that, is going to help you also be consistent. Because something that humans do is that we will actually have more loyalty for someone else than we will for our own selves, which is crazy to me when I learned that. But when I thought about it, I was like, if I want to go on a run and I ask my friend to go, and I know she's gonna get there, I'm gonna make sure I get there, because I don't want her talking about, oh, and Ari set me up for this, da 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 da. And that also goes back to tip number one about connecting it with an emotion, you can also connect it to a person, because you don't want to let that person down. That's why you're going to do it. So having an accountability partner is so important for you to be consistent. So choose wisely at that. My friend is not going to sit there and grill me on it if I tell her that I didn't do it. But at the same time, she's going to be like, well, you did say you want to do that and you haven't started yet. So what's going on? Why haven't you started it? And I don't want to be asked that and I just say I just didn't. I was just too scared to start it, or I just was struggling with being consistent with it. I don't want to say that. So that helps me actually do the thing that I said I wanted to do. That is all I have for you for today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed on my tips on how to be consistent. I hope I actually provided you guys with actual things that you can actually start today instead of just doing the regular motivational topics, because I'm trying to go ahead and not get into that, because what I've noticed from what I've listened to and also from things that I wanted to talk about, I just felt like I'm not trying to give motivational speaker. I'm trying to give tips on what you actually can do, right? I really do hope that this was very beneficial to you. If it is, I would love for you guys to send me a message either on Instagram, or if you guys want to write it in the comments, or if you guys want to leave a review on this podcast on how much you appreciate the tips and stuff, I would so appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great week. If you guys have any topics or anything that you guys want to talk about, that you guys want me to speak on, make sure you guys message me about that. And before I head out of here, I did also start a Substack. So if you're more of a reader and don't have time to listen, I would really appreciate if you guys actually go and read the articles, because I take my time on them, my little newsletter or whatever. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.